Usually a family has a mom and a dad, and they are the ones responsible for raising their children. But now in South Africa, families are taking a new shape. Many are headed by grandmothers. This is because more and more young men and women are dying from AIDS. And often those who die are not only the parents of children, but also the breadwinners of entire families. All the families we will show you tonight survive on a 650 rand old age pension. This is KwaZulu-Natal, home to many of South Africa's AIDS grannies. Not only are they faced with the responsibility of caring for their ill unemployed children, when those children die, they're also left to care for the little children they leave behind. The list goes on for Mariam Zimela. At 84, she is faced with the task of parenting her 8 grandchildren. She sometimes can't even remember their names. She stays in Impola village. The days of her youth and energy are long gone. Gogo Maria has seen 2 generations of her family wiped out by AIDS. She now takes care of her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. Last year was a difficult year for this family. They had to bury Maria's grandson, who died from an AIDS illness. He left behind his 4 children.
Wakhala kakhulu kodwa ngifihlela ukuthi siyahambe emhlabeni thatha imoto ngamhambisa ukuthi ngimisa esibhedlela endleleni ohamba yilo esho kwakhe naka amaphilisi nanti ibhodlela yazi yasala yonke imithi beqala ukulala phansi isikhathi eside kangaka February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
The illness and the death of her grandson were not easy on Gogo Maria and the children. His funeral was also costly.
Into eyishilo into zakhe zokugqoka kahle egqoka kakhulu enentoni ezikhalayo nani ilokho ongathi basokuhamba isikhathi mhlawumbe mangihlupheke kakhulu ngokudanisa ashanga lutho uzukwa nje eposini bebhenga ukho uzukwa Nkosi yabona lokho kusho imali ayihamba kakhulu engathi iyasezonda sasithi nathi siyaphanga.
The youngest child in Gogo Maria's charge is only 11 months old. The children need to be fed, clothed and helped with homework. She is too old to be doing that, she says, but she's the only one they can count on.
Ngeke ngisho ukusebenzana angisenzi lutho futhi ngayisapho mnobhiziniseni ngezi lutho nje ngayitshwala ngidayise cha besiphiliseke nami ngalo mpesheni yami.
Gogo Maria's own needs come last.
Nginoshukela kwamina angena amaphilisi abiza into esimanga bidlala amaphilisi etiyeni phele konke kodwa ngibheke kuphezulu uNkulunkulu.
Ronita and Isbongiseni are volunteers from St. Mary's Community Outreach Program. Today, the youth of Desai Township in KwaZulu-Natal are attending a training session. With the help of Sister Mtalani, they hope to become qualified home-based carers. They are not paid. All they will get to do their work is the contents of this bag. Their duties will range from counseling and washing their patients to even collecting the patient's medicine from the local clinics and hospitals.
Catholic Medical Mission Board. Lesi sikhwama kukhona isikhwama esincane esiphakathi. Lesi sikhwama esiphakathi sinalezi izinto engizozikhipha. Khona ama gloves esizowafaka mangabe sithinta okusanketshezi kulabo esibasizayo. Bese kuba khona ucream noma into esizoyigcobisa uma ngabe sesimgezile umuntu wethu lo esimkade simlekelele. Khona ama-bandage esosiza ngawo uma ngabe umuntu enesilonda esizombopha ngaso.
AIDS has hit home for many in this room.
Lesi sikhwama sinalokhu kokunye sikusebenzisayo esikubiza ngokuthi
Most of them have either had to deal with someone close to them who's suffering from AIDS-related illnesses or someone who died from it.
Kodwa uyakwazi ukuthi sikuqoqe.
These personal experiences motivated people like Sibongiseni Mnguni to help patients that are facing a sense of despair. It's volunteers like him that are eyes and ears of the community. Their biggest challenge is the increasing number of those around them suffering from AIDS illnesses. Communities that are lucky enough to have home-based carers can at least enjoy the fruits of having someone taking care of the patient's medical, physical, and emotional needs. For most patients, becoming ill is a difficult journey. Most can no longer work and have lost their income. These volunteers dedicate their time. Often they are their patients' only hope in life, and they are their only comfort in dying. And with every death, someone is left behind to mourn a daughter or son, mother or dad.
The moms and the dads are either very infected by HIV and AIDS or either have died from it. And now the grandmothers and the grandfathers, and well, more so the grandmothers, are going to have to care for these children, from infancy right up to school and get them educated. So it's quite a burden on them. Also remembering that the grandmothers are very ill themselves. They are impoverished themselves.
Many rely on the visits from these volunteers, and Coco Maria's family is one of those. She was first introduced to Sibongiseni during her grandson's illness. Since then, she too became ill. She needs 3 injections a day for diabetes, an illness that is now also costing her son. Sibongiseni has once again become a frequent visitor to this family.
Popo, 25. Iraisi, 25. Saoti, ushukela na 25 ushukela.
Maria's pension is not only spent on food and clothes for the children.
Vutu spaghetti cat. Leli khadi libalisa ukuzala. Kusho iphele mntana mawuthenge kanjalo. Ukhohle ukuthi kwayibona into imali.
For an 84-year-old granny to be looking after an 11-month-old baby, whether it's her own grandchild or a relative, or even if it's permanent or temporary, I think that is probably not on, and it shouldn't be on.
We've got the CSG, which is the Child Support Grant. We've got the Foster Care Grant. We've got the Grant in Aid. We've got a number of grants that could be accessed. But I think what we are looking at is to strengthen the family, so that it does not just becomes the responsibility of that particular granny, but really we go back to our strength as a nation to look into the extended families, to look into all the elements of survival that we've always had.
KwaDabeka Township in Claremont, KwaZulu-Natal, many of the youth in this community are unemployed, and here too, grandmothers are becoming heads of families.
Sihlala la endlini ngesu-7 abadala. Abazulu bawu-8.
7 years ago, Teresa Ndlovu qualified for a pension of 640 rand a month. She stays with her unemployed daughters and her grandchildren.
Zima ukukhulisa iy'ngane ngoba iy'ngane zifuna ukudla, iy'ngane zifuna ukugqoka, and iy'ngane zifuna ukukhokhelwa esikoleni. Mina kufanele ngabe angisanankinga manje ngibe ney'ngane ey'ncane, bese ngimdala, kufanele ngabe sengidla imali yepentsheni, ngithenge inyama ngidle. Manje ngeke ngiyithenge inyama ngoba nampa abantwana.
Teresa buried one of her daughters last year. She also died from AIDS, and when she went, 3 of her daughters were left in Gogo Teresa's care.
Ilanga siyahlala nje kungabi khona ukudla, sihlale sidlalele ney'ngane zami. Patanisa nje uNkulunkulu khona uyasisiza.
It's been difficult for Gogo Teresa to access the 120 Rand childcare grant.
Obaba bey'ngane ngizalisa iy'ngane bayihambele bayiyele la beziyela khona. Laba-ke abancane angibaholeli ngesimanga sokuthi uma wakhe akazange azanginike isitifiketi sakhe sokuthi ngibhalisile i-grant lo.
Families don't have the birth documents in order to access those grants. Very often the moms and dads pass away without leaving any documentation. The child's birth is not registered. Their births were not registered, so their deaths therefore cannot be registered. And then how do you apply for a grant when you don't have those documents? So yes, there's money available, and we are fully aware of it, but how to access it is the problem.
Each and every person that is entitled to a grant has to access that grant. Now, together with the Department of Home Affairs, we are going into communities with mobile units to enable communities to register the birth, for the grannies to get the birth certificates and all that. So at least there is some effort that government is doing to enable easy accessibility of the grant.
Coffee Farm, another township in KwaZulu-Natal. 5 months ago, Agnes Mandengu came to bury her 2 daughters here. Now she's had to abandon her home in Mpangeni to look after her grandchildren and her great-granddaughter.
Lapha nje ngeza ngoba bekukhona abantwana bami. Kwenzeka ke labantwana bashona ngokulandelana. Omunye ushone ngoJune, kwenzeka omunye washona ngoJuly. Ngizongcwaba nina ngisale nengane.
No one works in this family. The death of both mothers from AIDS has left this family desperate, and the children demand a lot of attention and money. 5 of them are still in school.
Ngiyinkinga ukuthi ngizobafaka ngane esikoleni ngoba phela esikoleni kuyakhokha. Awuyifaki ngane imali ehamba phambili bese kuzofuneka incwadi.
At 57, Agnes doesn't qualify for a pension. She says she's alone and has no one to help her.
Sengingene ehlelweni lokuthi ngisaqhubeka nokuzala. Esikhundleni ngabe sengiphumule. Akufana nokuthi nabo labo bazelwe yimi manje. Ngizalo nina sengizele bona sengizele kabusha bahambile labo ngibazale eqala.
Now, Agnes plans to go back home with the 3 young ones. She will leave the other 2 with a 17-year-old sister. Once she has a bit of money, she will come back for them. Things are difficult since her only income was from her daughters who passed away.
Njengoba bengenabo baba nje babhekene nami mina engisele nabo. Nabo ke sekuzothi ekuhambeni kwami ngoba phela nami ngizohamba. Nabo nabesaphila lapho ke futhi aboqala phansi bathola ubunzima.
Agnes sees a bleak future for her grandchildren. She knows she too can't live forever, and then the children will have no one.
Akho umuntu omuzomsiza. Ngoba phela kade ngibambisene nonina baba. Manje bengasekho angisazi.
You find that our Social Assistance Act also allows that for distressed families. We even come in with food parcels to take them through maybe for a period of 3 months. And that is just to enable that family, that if that family has fallen through the safety net, which is the grants, the 3-month period will enable that family to come into the grant. So by the time we move out with that 3 months, at least there is a grant that is there. Then you begin to link them up to some existing community projects.
Agnes knows nothing about this help the government offers, and even if she did, she wouldn't know how to start accessing it. Her life is a daily battle as it is. To her, the government's grand policies seem very far away. From the rural areas to the inner city, the plight of families and grandmothers stays the same. In Westbury, Johannesburg, the Minar family also has to raise children left orphaned by AIDS.
It is difficult in die sense, hier is jou kinders. Jou kind wil hang op jou en die is jou sister se kind. Jy nodig ook hy liefde. Now you have to share yourself. You have to open your arms for both of them. You can't push this child away and say, I'm not your mommy. Because once as 'n kind eenmaal hy word agter mommy, jou hart gaan oop en jou hart gaan oop vir hy kind.
Ja, vir my roep hulle al my mama. All my grandchildren and grandchildren, they call me mama. Because nie ouma nie.
Every Sunday, the Minar family gets together. In a time of great difficulty, they draw strength from each other. Granny Ellen and her unemployed daughter Gertrude say they have tried to get help through many channels. They have gone to the social welfare department and to various social workers. Every time, a door closed instead of opening. It was a struggle from the start to keep the children. At one stage, the family feared the children would be taken away from them. Throughout their ordeal, the social workers asked more questions than offering solutions.
Toe ek nou alles weggegee het, toe sê sy vir my, sy moet eers die kinders se vaders inbring. En hoor, is hulle, stem hulle, dat die kinders in onze sorg moet is. Toe vraag ek vir haar, hoe kan hulle vandag eers die vaders wil insleep en die vaders wil al die jare niks te doen gewees het met die kinders nie. Toe sê sy is procedure wat hulle moet deurgaan. Die welzijnmense altyd gesê, ek kan nie die kinders kry want ek is nie werkend en my ma is al oud dan. So hulle sal die kinders wegneem van ons af. Toe het ek eendag gesê, as dit so moet is dat hulle die kinders moet wegvat, dan kan hulle maar los om ons te help om onderhoud, because die kinders heen sal stuur, sal hy kinders nie die liefde kry wat hulle kry van ons af nie, because ons is 'n baie close family.
The requirements for a foster care. It's the court order indicating foster care status. It is the ID document or birth certificate bearing the 13-digit ID number in respect of the child, and then it's the means test. Those are the requirements statutorily. So I'm not aware of the requirement for the father to give consent.
Granny Ellen's pension is not enough to care for her 6 grandchildren. But recently things improved when the eldest grandson, Henry, found a job. He's 25 years old and also an orphan.
I'm buying tea, sugar, meal, flour, and so stammies, meat. Nou sometimes is nie te genoeg nie, dan my seun met my help.
Apart from a pension, I need to provide with the salary I get. So whatever, buying food, see to the kids when they get up in the morning, has food on the table, maybe give them some spinning to go to school. Yeah, just provide that and make it a little bit easier on the.
The 6 grandchildren know that they don't have a mother. For them, Granny Ellen is now mom. But at the time of their mother's death, 2 of the children were still babies. For Granny Ellen and her family, dealing with her daughter's illness was difficult.
Dit was baie seer geweest om haar te so gesien het suffer. En dit het baie druk op die kinders gesit ook. Because Jacqueline is jong, Kylan is jong, Vaughan was ook jong geweest om hy weet nou die huisprobleme lyk op hom skouers nog gedra.
So seer as ek dink van maar sy was sterk in geesin. Sy was baie sterk in geesin. Sy het gebid, sy sê, maar wat gaan môre vir jou kinders? Ek sê, my kind, die Here is daar.
Sy was baie gewaard. En sy het altyd gesê, sy het nie gedink dat sal gebeur met haar, om haar kinders so jonk
agter te loop.
The family says they find strength in prayer and in each other's closeness.
Dankie Vader vir die spyse wat ons elke dag kry. En ons smeek liewe Here laat ons so maar lyk. Amen. Amen. Come, no one.
They also receive love and support from the community they live in. Granny Ellen says her small pension does not fill all the holes. They try to make the money stretch and to meet all 6 children's needs. But what makes it almost impossible is that all the children are still in school. So it's not only food, but everything that goes along with growing children. All this for so many from one old lady's pension.
I love my granny because she's really warm-hearted and she supports us in everything we do. She always encourages us to go on, not to quit.
For 3 years, Granny Ellen has been doing the impossible. For this family, a little help will go a long way. Help they hope will come from government.
It is quite difficult to say we can reach everyone at the same time. But I can assure you that we've got those programs. They've been rolled out in all the provinces. And I can as well say that if those grannies know of an institution nearby, be it a church, be it an NGO, be it a government department, be it a local council, whatever, it is important that our people must know that those are the structures that are there for them to access. So it assists us as government.
Ije Elimnyama is another informal settlement in KwaZulu-Natal. It is home to Gogo Emily Shozi. She has 10 mouths to feed. 5 are unemployed children and the other 5 her grandchildren. She is angry with the men who have abandoned her children and grandchildren. She doesn't even know who they are. She has never seen them.
Abasebenzi bazala nje namadoda ayabaleka ngenze njani ke mina impela iyaphela imali ingane ziyadla.
As she gives the grandchildren sugar water to eat, the poverty she faces becomes clear.
We are responding to these issues and it is coming up very fast. And in some instances, it catches up with us before we've been able to roll out efficiently some of these programs.
At 74, Emily has no option but to show a fighting spirit for her family.
Ngizame nosimende uyabona ukuthi nakumuzi wafu ngizame kanjani umapenda uyabona ngizame kanjalo kuphelela imwindi ubungaphelile nje.
She's the only one with an income. She supplements a pension with a few rand she gets from a 2-day-a-week part-time job.
Sasa ngiyasebenza kanje kakhulu ngibe ntambama ngiyajuluka ngiyasebenza nje ngizoza kuphi ngimdala kodwa manje ayikho engasengenza ingane zihlele emakhaya zifuna ukudla zifuna yonke into onozoyenza.
At the age of 74, one should be enjoying the fruits of a life's labor. But for Emily and many other grandmothers, they instead are raising a whole new generation of children.
Ngiyazama.